on CTS Weekender, and amid a sea of color, because it is the season, it's one of the best parts of summer in Canada. The color comes out, so I've invited Denis Flanagan from Landscape Ontario to join me. Welcome, Denis.
And thanks for the invitation. It's so great to see you.
It's great to see you too, and isn't it wonderful to have color back in our lives?
I absolutely love it. You know, particularly in Canada, because you've got that long winter and people are just itching to get outside, and that's why the months of May and June are special, I think.
And we've had a bit of a challenging May and June across much of the country this year.
Yeah, it's been wet. It's been wet, and the greenhouse growers, you know, sort of behind the scenes thing. Right. We didn't have a lot of sunlight actually, and that is tough when you're growing flowers in a greenhouse. They need, you know, so many hours of sunlight. So a few crops were behind the times, but now we're ready to go. Everything's in bloom. Everything's
in bloom. The garden centers are looking fantastic. And for many of us, that May 24th target was a little delayed. So actually, we're right on target now for getting those gardens going.
Absolutely. Yeah, the first few weekends in June are absolutely perfect weather now for getting out there and gardening. Yeah.
Now, I got to say, when you go to the garden center, it's overwhelming because you're just greeted by a sea of stuff. And this is like a tiny little representation. Not really sure where to go sometimes. And there's the obvious choices, the ones we fall to every year, but there's some unusual choices we can make.
There absolutely are. And I think, Sharon, actually you should start before you get to the garden centre and do a little bit of research. So, you know, watch your fabulous show, get some tips, go to the internet, and just like you would go to a grocery store, make yourself a little list of things that you're looking for. So you're right, if people are looking for the unusual, they're going to be absolutely delighted this year because some of the unusual things that are available for containers this year in particular. For instance, this is a little dwarf evergreen here called a cypress.
So cute. Now, how big will that get?
That will get probably about 2 feet eventually. But that will take a long time. That'll take 10 years.
Okay. So, patient person out there.
But you know, that's what people are looking for nowadays. Sometimes lots are smaller. We're dealing with patios, that kind of thing. So you want smaller things. People that are challenged with water droughts, things like that. Things like succulents, hens and chickens.
Like these.
Yeah, you can
They're
do
quite nice.
A dramatic container or window box just out of succulents. What the breeders have done in the industry, Sharon, have recognized the fact that people do garden in smaller spaces, do garden in containers. So things like dahlias now, which traditionally we used to think of dahlias as 3-4 foot high.
Of course.
But, you know, but now there are mini dahlias which are designed to grow in a container.
Very pretty.
And that's something different.
And who is taking up? I've asked this question as a container gardener.
Yes.
But who is taking up container gardening?
Just about everyone, to be honest with you, because it does hit all ages. It's the ideal way to start a garden with children, for instance.
Right.
You know, children go out in a large garden, they plant something, it gets overgrown with weeds, and they sort of lose interest. If they've got a little container that's theirs, it's all theirs, with some interesting named plants, or they can name the plants themselves, why not? Then they start off with a manageable garden. Then you move into the busy young family, right? They're busy day. They want something to come home to they can enjoy, not spend a lot of time maintaining. And then the other spectrum are seniors that have maybe moved in to a smaller house or a balcony, something with a balcony. They want something manageable but colorful and pretty.
Right.
Talk about colorful and pretty.
I know, color is big.
Color is back in this year. And
I understand this is one of the colors of the year.
Yes, right. Absolutely. This is one of the colors of the year in the flower business. And what would you call that?
I call it coral.
Coral. That's a nice, anything coral, tangerine, that kind of tone is very much a hot color this year. And you're going to see that in garden furniture, in cushions, in fabrics, and also flowers.
Very nice.
And of course, it's nice because it matches other things.
Well, I was going to say, I've gone with a red and white, but I have pops of this.
Yeah.
Because it goes with it without taking away.
It absolutely blends in.
Yeah.
And you can mix this, and there is only one rule in container gardening.
Which is?
Which is, there is no rule.
I like it.
Do whatever you want. Have some fun. It used to be that everyone just did a Dracaena plant in the middle and a row of marigolds around it, and that was it.
Right.
People were, you know, scared to experiment.
Sure.
Have fun.
Okay, but now, a question. When it comes to, I see we have a bag of soil here,
Yes.
and I go to the garden center and I want to put a bunch of plants in it.
Yep.
Does the soil matter, like when it comes to certain plants, certain soils?
That's a very good question, actually. It does. And to me, the ideal mix for a container garden is, get some basic topsoil, some basic garden soil. I like to add my own compost.
Okay.
If you don't make compost, just go to the city, your local town, and get compost.
Right.
I like to mix in about 20% of my own compost because most packaged soils often don't have that water holding capacity, and it does that. The other big secret with container gardening is because it's not going to get any nutrients through leaching.
Of course, yes.
You have to fertilize both in the beginning, and this is slow release fertilizer, Sharon, so it's coated, right?
Okay.
And the beauty of that is you mix this into the soil at the beginning of the season before you plant, and as you water, and as the container heats up, that coating breaks down and the fertilizer, whoosh, it gushes out into the soil, is released into the soil. So a marvelous way. And then I would probably add a well-balanced fertilizer about every 10 days, 2 weeks. That's how you get these results.
Gorgeous. Another question goes to water, because water is essential, or you see these beautiful blooms just dry up and fall away. Water, though, especially in the midsummer, can be quite a challenge. And we can, I'm seeing rain barrels. I'm seeing you can pick up your rain barrels.
Yes, you can. Rain barrels are absolutely great. Everyone should have a rain barrel on the end of every downspout around their house. If you're really into a lot of gardening, look at a drip irrigation system.
Okay.
You will save money, you will save water by using a drip irrigation system. And don't forget that if you're going to be away for a couple of days and your plants are in containers, put them in the shade. Right? There's no need to have them sitting in the blazing sun all day long.
Right.
Particularly if you're not there to look after them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there are so many options now for gardening and landscaping. Water gardens is another.
Yes.
People are introducing more water into the actual landscape.
Yeah, I'd say that probably water is not, one of the top trends in landscaping right now. And as you can see, we're seeing some of the shots right now.
They're beautiful.
Here. And these are from Landscape Ontario's Awards of Excellence program. So these are contractors across Ontario, across the province that enter this, and some dramatic shots there of dramatic waterfalls. And you can have something formal, or you can have something informal that looks as if coming out of some cedars at the back of your property.
And this has got us all thinking, because it was National Garden Day yesterday. And this weekend is all about Father's Day and gardening.
It is. So great combination. Canada's very first gardening day, June 14th, and twinned with Father's Day, as you said. Everyone should be out there with their dad or grandfather out in the garden doing something outside.
A fine way to spend your time,
Absolutely.
I must say. And for people that want to learn more, Landscape Ontario, great destination.
Yes, come to our website, and if you have a gardening question, you can just punch it in, and our partners, the Master Gardeners, will actually answer them for you.
Quite like that. And it's been a pleasure having you here today.
Always a pleasure with you, Sharon.
Happy gardening, happy Father's Day, all of that.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more on CTS Weekender in just a moment.